Hi guys, it's Lanikia, and I am coming to you with season 3, episode 2 of The Handmaid's Tale. It is called season 3, episode 3 of The Handmaid's Tale. Sorry about that. It is called Useful. Okay, so I'm gonna be quick about this because actually I forgot I hadn't done this one, to be quite honest. So this video won't be that long at all. Plus, it was out of all the 4 of the episodes that I watched, because I watched episode 4 and then I realized I hadn't did a video for 3. But out of all the 4 episodes, this probably was my least favorite. I don't exactly know why it was, but it was. So it starts off with the Marthas are hanging. So and June is looking to see if one of them could possibly be Cora. They have a mask over their face, like uh, a, they have like a sack over their face, so she can't tell if it's Cora or not. But she doesn't think it is. She doesn't think Lawrence would be like that because for some reason she thinks Lawrence is a good man, because he helped Emily escape and everything. So then we see Alma and Janine come up to her and they start talking about how the bodies have been out there for 3 days because they say they started to smell. So June goes home and Commander Lawrence is being catered to, and she was just in her thoughts saying what it must be like to be him, to have people constantly watching you. If you they flinch at at anything you say or do or move, they flinch because you have complete control over them and everything. So there is another handmaid that has taken Cora's place. Her name is Sienna. Um, so the handmaids are nervous. Like Sienna is nervous. Beth is on edge because she snaps at June when June asks her, "Is there anything she can do?" She snaps at her and then she says, "Go put the pastries on." And so we find out the reason she's snappy or she's on edge is because all the commanders are coming to Commander Lawrence's home. And Sienna tells them that the reason that they're coming is because Lawrence is so powerful that if they want to speak to him, they have to come to him. He will not go to them. So yeah, we have that. So then we see, so Beth tells June, if you didn't see Cora out there hanging, then she's probably going to the colonies. So then we see that Beth tells June, we are all disposable. Like he's just testing us to see if we'll lie. He's testing them to see what they, if they'll tell the truth and everything. And they're all disposable. So he actually drops like a cup of tea or something. So he yells for Sienna, so she goes to clean it up. And as she's cleaning it up, she gets dirty. And so he asks her, Commander Lawrence asks her something like, "What's the punishment? Like, isn't it Martha's job to be clean? Like, even though they do all this dirty work, because they have to, do all the cooking, and it can get messy when you're cooking, and they have to do all the cleaning and all of that." He's just like, "Well, it's a Martha's job to do the dirty work, to stay clean, even though she's doing all that kind of work." So then we see, Sienna, she's a bit like she's young and she's just frightened of him and everything. So she leaves, and as she leaves, the doorbell rings. And June said, "Would you like me to go and answer that for you, sir?" And so he makes an offhanded comment like, "Are you useful? Can you think? Can you think or something?" So she's thinking like he was like, "Well, if the doorbell is ringing, answer it." So she's starting to walk away, and he says, "What do you think the punishment is for a handmaid to answer the door?" And so she stops because she doesn't know. And he says, "What do you think the punishment should be?" And so June is just pretty much stuck. Like, what do you want from me? And he was like, "Nope, I guess you can't think for yourself or whatever." So then the commanders all come in, and then Fred makes it to the kitchen, and June speaks to him, and so they start talking, and she tells him, um, "You've always been really good to me," and he was like, "He's not gonna be like me," and she was like, "You were always merciful towards me, even now I'm still alive, and I'll always be grateful. But if you have information on Commander Lawrence, please give it to me." And he tells her that he is hard to read, and she was like, "Well, if anybody can read him, you can." And then he tells her that he doesn't like to be bored, but I'm sure you probably already know that. And then Commander Lawrence comes in, and he asks June, and Commander Waterford, he leaves, and then he asks June, like, "What are you up to?" And she was like, "Staying busy," and she said, "Yes." And he says, "Doing what?" "You don't have to answer that." And so he leaves because he already knows what June is about. So and then we see Serena with her mom. So Serena is at her mom's and she's making So and she's telling Serena that her prayer circle is coming, and Serena was like, "I'll get out your way." She was like, "No, I think it'd be good if you meet them. It's a privilege. It's an honor to meet you because Serena. I think they said the commander got demoted, but they're pretty important people, and everything. So, but Serena doesn't want to meet anybody. She just wants to be mopey and sad and stuff because she's missing her daughter. But her mother pretty much tells her, "No, sis. No, daughter. You're gonna have to meet with them. So suck that up." So then we see Lawrence make okay. So then Sienna comes in and she tells June, okay, we're back at the Commander Lawrence's place where all the commanders are meeting. So Sienna tells June that he wants you to come pour the wine because I think they're drinking wine or something. And she says, why? And he said, because I'm not pouring fast enough. So June has to go and pour the wine. And for them. So then June goes in and she sees Nick, and then she realizes, oh snap, Nick is commander now. And Fred and oh my gosh, I thought we were done with Nick and June being all like lovey-dovey, looking at each other and stuff, but they're doing it. And Fred and Lawrence sees it. So then June is pouring the drinks and everything, and you can hear them talking about the women that they've gotten from Chicago. So I guess they've stolen some women from Chicago and imprisoned them, and they're like, what do we do with them? And they were like, we need to put them in the colonies or something. Because at first they was just talking about kill, like what? And they were talking about like demolishing this one place, this one town. And Commander Lawrence says, no, there's women and children. There's useful resources there, women and children. Anyways, so then he tells all the other commanders that it's women are useful, and so to prove his point, he tells June, "Were you not an editor?" And she says, "Yes, I was," or whatever. And then he tells her, go get this book, and it's called like the Scent of Man and everything. And then so he makes her go and get the book. And women are not supposed to read, so he tells her it's the third one, is this, tells her how she could get the book. So she gets the book, and then she has to walk it to him and kneel down and give it to him. And it was humiliating for her because it's a room full of commanders, and he's pretty much saying like this is what women are useful for, to fetch our things, and everything. And she's embarrassed, and she's really angry at him at this point, but like there's nothing she can do. So she gives him the book. So then we cut back to Serena, and um she and Rita are Rita has gotten her dressed because Serena's mom wants her to go to this prayer circle. So she's gotten her dressed, and Rita gives her a gift, which is a finger, so she can slide it on so she doesn't have to walk around where everyone sees her finger has been cut off. So then Serena's mom Serena goes out into the group, and the group is praying and whatever, because one of the women are sick. One of the women, like, they're sick. So they're praying and everything. So they're in the middle of the prayer circle and they're praying, and they're like, is anyone else needing prayer? Well, Serena was like, she was just there. And then he says, Serena, so they make her get into the middle of the prayer circle, and so they start praying, and they were like, praying about the missing child and everything. And so, of course, Serena accepts that prayer. And then they start talking about her marriage, and they make her recite a verse from the Bible. I can't remember the verse. But anyways, it was pretty much talking about men having dominion over the woman, and that she should submit to her husband and everything. So she realizes her mom has told this group about her marital problems, like, and leave it to, how your moms sometimes they get to talking on the phone. Like you'll tell them something, and then they go and tell one of their best friends or someone. I never had one tell a prayer. Well, yes, she did one time. Not on me, but it was a sister. And I was like, sis, that was not their business. But anyways, you know how sometimes your parents or somebody you're close with just can't hold water. They have to they have to tell. They can't hold ice water. But anyways, Serena is upset about that. So we see Fred in a bedroom. And he's giving this lovely speech telling Serena how, about when he first met her and when they would be together and how excited he was to see her. He wants to go back to that place. And I was like, oh, that's a nice little speech. And then we find out that he's talking to a woman from Jezebel. So he's still doing his old stuff that he was doing in season 1, where he goes to Jezebel and gets involved with one of the ladies. So then we see June says she composes her, she has to learn how now to compose herself. So she goes into that's something that she never had to do before, and now she has to. So she composes herself. So even though she's angry, she has to let it go so that she can get about her mission. So she goes into the commander's office because she thought she was gonna play him like she played Commander Waterford. So she goes into the commander's office, and he tells her, they start this little conversation or whatever. And he was like, "Did this work on Waterford? Whatever." And she was like, he was like, he tells her she seems like she would be he asked her would she be a good leader because she seemed like she would be a good leader and everything. And she says, no, she doesn't think she would be. And so they have this back and forth, and normally Commander Waterford would be attracted to her or want her, and it doesn't work on him. And so he tells her about, like, when you were when you had your child and you were a mother, instead of going to pick your child up from school, you were editing, yeah, books and all of that kind of stuff when your sick child needed to be picked up to school. So he knows about June and everything. But anyways, so he really gets under her skin, just telling her about, like, how worthless she is. He was like, you could have been doing something when all this was getting started. You could have been doing something. So then she's about to walk out. Then she turns around and tells him, like, but you created all this. Those books that I was editing. What am I pronouncing that? I'm pronouncing that wrong. But anyways, she says all those books, you wrote those books. Editing. Anyways, I'll think as soon as I get off, I'll be like, oh dang. But anyways, she tells him, you wrote all of those books, so don't get mad at me because I'm the one who because you did all of this and now you're upset that you did all of this. But he's like, but she just lays into him. She's like, you did all this, you created all this, and now every now and then you might let a handmaid go, or you might help, you let the Marthas run their resistance from their kitchen and everything, because it makes you feel better for what you've done, and it helps you to sleep at night. And he says he lets them run their little resistance because it's better to have a little resistance letting them run that than to have them completely wipe all of Gilead out and everything, to make them think, okay, we're winning, but really they're not. That's what he's saying. And then he says he let Emily go because Emily is very intelligent and she's be useful to the world. And that's why he let her go. It wasn't because he felt sorry for her or anything. So I don't know how to read them. Y'all tell me what you think. Because on one hand, because I think, and I believe him when he says he just does that because of those reasons. I don't think he really feels bad. I think only reason he feels somewhat even bad about what he's doing is because he sees the way it affected his wife. I think if it wasn't for her and he had someone who was sold into this, he wouldn't have an issue with this at all. So then they argue, and then he takes June to this place where all the women from Chicago. Remember, I told you earlier they had these women from Chicago. So all these women from Chicago are there, and they're all gonna go to the colonies. He said, except 5. We need 5 Marthas, and she was like, make them all Marthas. He said, we don't have those 5, so you can say 5 of them. Choose. And June is like, I'm not gonna choose. And he said, if you don't choose, their deaths are on you. They'll all go. They'll all be dead. And she's like, no, 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 don't blame this on me. I didn't do this or whatever. So she leaves. So then we go back to Serena's outside, and she comes in, and she and her mother get into it because she's upset with her mom for telling the people that she was having problems with her marriage and everything. And she's upset with her mom because her mom won't let her tell her what is really going on in the household. Her mom doesn't want to know. She was like, in this world, you're better as Mrs. Waterford. So be quiet, suck it up, and handle it. And then she says that because there's no worse pain than seeing your child in pain. And Serena Joy is like, yes, there is. And her mom just tells her, like, that's self-pity. I don't want to hear it. That's self-pity. You gave a baby away that wasn't even yours. So, like, Serena's mom is tough. So you could see kind of where Serena gets that, where she becomes like emotionalist because her mom is like that. So then June, okay, so then Nick comes to the house, and she's like, the handmaid is like, oh, you're not here to see me, so she takes him to June, and June is mad at Nick, and I'm like, sis, I don't understand why you're mad at Nick. So she's like, you're a commander now, and he's like, yes, and she says, so you could get Hannah and get me out, and he was like, I'm sorry, because he can't do that. And she says, then what can you do? And I'm like, June, like, you can't be like that towards Nick because he did get you out before. You like, they ended up catching her, but he tried his best to get her out before. Then he made another attempt to get her. He got her out in season 1. He tried to get her out in season 2. You didn't go. So you can't be mad at Nick because there's nothing else he can do for you. He was like, I was due up to become a commander, and now I'm about to go to Chicago on the front line. And she was like, they're like, it's pretty much, she's like, it's a suicide mission. They're sending you over there to be killed. And he's just like, I just came to say goodbye. And she was like, bye. And so he walks out, and then she gets up, and he's waiting on her outside the door, and then he goes in, and I guess they spend some time together and everything. So that's that. Um. So then we see the next morning, Serena comes and visits June, and she's there. I don't know why Serena was there really, because she was trying to tell June, I didn't come to talk about the resistance and everything, but she was there to see how June copes with missing her children and everything, and June was just telling her how she copes. But she said so. Serena was about to tell June why she really came, and June starts talking about, you're a powerful woman. They listen to you, and you could make changes. Like, you could fight and make changes. And Serena is just like, she doesn't have it in her anymore. She just does not have it in her anymore. So then we go to Fred. So, okay, so Serena's like, I don't have it in me anymore. And so June is telling her, like, make it be in you. You could do it. You could, if you really wanted to, you could still do this, and it could, be a powerful force on our side and everything. Because that's what June is looking for. She's looking for somebody with some power that they could use to help them. And she thought she thought she was gonna be able to use Lawrence, but she can't. She's not with the Waterfords anymore, so the next best person so she could try to control the commander, Waterford. So the next best person would be Serena, because Serena understands what it's like to have to let go of your child. So she tells Serena, I know you're scared, but you gotta fight. You're stronger than you think. So then we see that the next scene, we see June has selected, she did go back and she selected the 5 Marthas. I think she selected a thief, a journalist, an IT tech, an engineer, and a lawyer. And so Beth is like, she was telling this to Beth, and Beth was like, how do you know that? How do you know that we got those? And she said, because I picked them. I chose those 5 Marthas. So I guess that's what June is going to contribute to the whole resistance and everything. And then we see Serena is going into the water, and I was like, is she gonna try to drown herself? But she went into the water, and then she came out, and Fred came to talk to her, and she just walked right past him. And that's how the episode pretty much went off with them doing that. So that was that episode, guys. That was episode 3. I'm about to upload this, and then I'll flip myself. And then I'll see you. Why is this flip?